Welcome to the NPC Energy podcast. This is where we, each week, ask if reality is just one big simulation.
Wondering if The Matrix was maybe less fiction, more documentary?
Exactly. We dive into glitches, all those funky theories, and yeah, try to keep it fun.
And if you're out there listening, prove you're human.
Yeah, share, rate, follow NPC Energy. Let us know you're not just part of the code.
Absolutely. And today, well, we're heading off on a really particularly bizarre simulated journey. It's quite intriguing.
Oh yeah, what have you got?
We're asking if our dreams, are they really just the mysterious workings of our subconscious, or maybe something else?
Oh, okay. Like that feeling, right? You wake up from some dream and you're just thinking, what in the actual simulation was that? Like, I don't know, your third grade teacher is suddenly flying a spaceship made of a hot pocket.
Right. Well, you're trying to, solve a Rubik's Cube with your teeth.
Exactly. So vivid when it's happening, and then you wake up and it's just complete nonsense.
It's totally universal, that feeling. That narrative that seems almost real, almost coherent, then just dissolves into, well, absurdity.
Yeah.
And that really brings us to the core question for this simulated journey today. Could REM sleep, with all its weirdness, its illogical plots, could it actually be a kind of beta test?
A beta test for what?
For maybe a future version of our simulation software.
Whoa. Okay. Let's unpack that a bit. So you're unconscious, right? Lights out.
Yeah.
And then your brain just starts cooking up these wild scenarios, often unsettling ones too. The old thinking was always, subconscious processing. Our minds sorting the day's junk or dealing with deep psychological stuff while we sleep.
That was definitely the prevailing scientific view for a long, long time.
Goodbye.
But according to some really fascinating insights from anonymous sources we looked into, there's a new theory gaining some ground. And it's, frankly, a lot more outlandish.
Okay, I'm listening.
The idea is that our dreams, they're essentially being run by a very basic, almost, rudimentary form of AI.
A budget AI.
Yeah.
Seriously, like a really stripped down ChatGPT just humming away inside our heads. That sounds pretty wild.
That's the core theory, basically.
Yeah.
Imagine a very, very basic large language model, an LLM, and it's just trying its best to weave stories together from fragments, incomplete information.
What kind of information?
Think about it. Bits of the day's input. Snippets of conversation you have heard, maybe a worry that's nagging you, that picture you scrolled past online.
So just like ChatGPT generates text by finding patterns, this dream AI makes these weird dream stories based on whatever random data it can grab.
Precisely. And if you think about how LLMs work, right, they find statistical relationships in huge amounts of data. You can kind of see a parallel with dreams.
How so?
Well, LLMs sometimes spit out text that sounds plausible, maybe even profound, but then you look closer and it just falls apart.
Okay, yeah. I've seen that.
Dreams often have that exact same quality, don't they? A surface feeling of meaning, but it just evaporates if you try and analyze it logically.
Optional coherence. That's a good way to put it. Plot holes are definitely encouraged in dreamland.
Totally. I mean, breathing underwater, suddenly teleporting, you don't even question it in the moment.
Right. It's just normal.
Exactly. And the sources we looked at, they highlight this with a great example.
Okay.
If you asked a modern LLM something like, what happens when I meet my spirit animal in space? You might get back something like, the dolphin offered me a cosmic burrito and told me I was late for my soul shift.
Okay, yeah. That has exactly that dream logic feel.
Yeah.
Makes a weird kind of sense, but it's totally bizarre afterwards.
Right. It nails that nonsensical logic.
So this basic dream AI, we need a name for it. Dreamcore 1.0.
Dreamcore 1.0. I like it. Yeah, this initial, very simple dream engine, trying to generate stories with limited processing power and a really loose grip on reality.
Maybe that's why dreams jump around so much. Limited working memory.
Could be. It might contribute to those fragmented jump cut narratives we get.
Okay, so Dreamcore 1.0 sounds like it's not exactly running smoothly, which I guess makes me think about all the weird, glitchy things that happen in dreams.
That's a really interesting connection. And the anonymous sources, they propose this analogy.
Yeah.
If dreams are AI generated, then the engine running them is probably like a janky, underfunded GPU in the brain.
A janky GPU. Okay.
Yeah. Think of it struggling, limited processing power.
Yeah.
Maybe even old neural architecture.
Right.
Windows me for the mind, perhaps.
Windows me. Oh, wow. But that actually explains a lot. Those dreams where you're stuck in the same place. over and over. Feels like the level isn't loading right.
Exactly. The theory suggests these repetitive dreams, they call them looped levels. It's like the dream engine just fails to generate anything new.
Like a video game character stuck in a doorway.
Right, like an old Skyrim NPC or something. Dreamcore 1.0 just gets stuck rendering the same scene because it's low on resources.
Okay, and what about faces? You know, when someone looks familiar but they're blurry or their features are off
Yes.
or just plain wrong.
Those missing textures, as the sources put it,
Yeah.
that could be our neural networks just struggling to create high-res models, not enough RAM, the brain's short-term memory equivalent.
So the system can't fully render the details, leads to vague faces or mixed up features.
That's the idea. Not enough resources for the fine details.
And then there are the sudden scene changes, the plot twists from nowhere, or you're just suddenly somewhere else, doing something else, no explanation.
Jump cuts and plot resets.
Yeah.
Yeah. The interpretation there is that the simulation is sort of panicking.
Panicking.
Yeah, like the narrative hits a dead end or a logical contradiction, and the system just abruptly loads an old save, a previous state.
Which causes those jarring, nonsensical shifts. Dreamcore 1.0 hits an error and just defaults back to something else it knows.
So that defaults to a previously stable, even if it's totally unrelated, dream state.
It's funny because psychology always tries to read so much into that stuff, doesn't it? Symbolism.
Right. A recurring place means you feel stuck. A distorted face is anxiety about identity. That's the traditional view. Focus on subconscious emotions.
But these sources offer a more technical take.
Yeah, a more technical, maybe slightly tongue-in-cheek alternative. Maybe sometimes a loop is just a loop. The engine couldn't render the next bit.
And a blurry face is just.
The texture pack failing to load on time.
Okay, so maybe not everything is deep symbolism. Maybe some of it's just bugs, software bugs in our heads.
It definitely raises the question, is it all deep meaning or are some things just glitches?
So if Dreamcore 1.0 is this glitchy, underpowered thing, why bother? What's the point of running this janky dream engine every night?
Well, the theory suggests that even with its flaws, dreaming is actually valuable. It's like a sandbox mode for the brain.
A sandbox mode?
Yeah, a low-stakes testing ground. You can run through what-if scenarios without any real-world consequences.
Because the rendering engine is limited and it's not real physics.
Exactly. So the brain gets to experiment. Play with situations, emotions, all in a safe space.
Maybe just the act of trying to generate these stories even badly helps strengthen neural connections.
That actually makes a surprising amount of sense. Brains playing around without real risk.
Okay.
So dreams might be this basic AI. The weirdness could be engine limits. But you mentioned something else earlier, hacking our dream firmware.
Ah, yes. Now this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
If we kind of go along with the premise, right?
Yeah.
That dreams are run by a system, even a basic one.
Then we could potentially modify it, influence it.
That becomes a very real possibility, yeah. And lucid dreaming, becoming aware you're dreaming while you're dreaming, that's presented as basically jailbreaking the system.
Yeah.
Bypassing the default settings.
Jailbreaking our minds while we sleep. I love that. Okay, so how do we do it? How do we go from just being along for the ride to actually taking the wheel? The sources mentioned hacks, right?
They did, yeah. 3 main ones. Hack number 1 is called Install the Awareness Patch.
Okay, how does that work? It's about training your waking mind. Consciously, regularly, throughout the day, just ask yourself, am I dreaming?
It asks the question.
Yeah. The idea is eventually that habit might just spill over into your dream state. Your subconscious starts doing these reality checks in the dream.
And that triggers the awareness.
That can trigger that moment of lucidity, the feeling of, debug menu unlocked.
Okay, planting a seed of doubt. Makes sense. What's hack number 2?
Hack 2 is about the dream journal. They call it dream journal, prompt tuning.
Prompt tuning, like with AI.
Exactly. If you think of your dream engine as a basic LLM,
Right.
then keeping a detailed dream journal is like giving it custom training data. You write down your dreams as much detail as you can remember.
And that does what?
You're essentially feeding information back into the system. Recalling it, recording it, might strengthen the neural pathways for those dream elements, potentially leading to more detailed, high-res dreams later on.
So writing down my weird Hot Pocket spaceship adventure tells my brain's dream AI, hey, more like this, please, but maybe better graphics next time.
Pretty much. They actually say it's like fine-tuning your own subconscious GPT. You're giving your dream generator specific examples of the stuff you're interested in, or at least noticing, and that can influence what it spits out next, guiding its creative process.
That's a really cool way to think about it. Okay, hack 3 was about input, right? What we do before sleep.
Yes, input manipulation or dream seeding.
Dream seeding. Okay.
The idea here is simple. What you consume before bed matters. Movies, music, books, food, even just thoughts you focus on. They can act as prompt injections for your dream AI.
Like priming ChatGPT.
Exactly. You give us specific instructions or info, you can influence the output. Same idea with dreams and your pre-sleep activities.
So the example was, if I want sci-fi dreams.
Right. Maybe binge some Star Wars, eat something unusual, maybe space ice cream, and then really visualize spaceships, wormholes, whatever, as you're drifting off.
And those things become like training tokens, raw material for Dreamcore 1.0.
That's the theory, providing a specific data set to work with, making it more likely that related stuff pops up in your dreams.
Okay, so we've gone from dreams as random noise to maybe AI-generated glitches to something we can actually influence or hack. But now we get into the really weird stuff, right? Who's actually doing the dreaming?
This is definitely where the anonymous sources kind of lean into the more, let's say, radical red pill kind of theories.
Uh-oh.
They start by questioning the most basic assumption that you are the one dreaming.
Oh, no. Whoa, hold on. If I'm not dreaming, then what's happening when I'm asleep? Who is?
Well, one possibility they float is that your dream isn't your creation at all. It's an inserted simulation.
Inserted? By who?
By some kind of external entity. It's like a test environment being uploaded into your consciousness. You're basically a character in someone else's experiment, running through a pre-designed scenario.
Okay, that's slightly unsettling. Cosmic dream lab rats.
Huh.
What's the next level down this rabbit hole?
The next level. The idea that maybe you're the NPC, the non-player character.
I'm the NPC.
Yeah. And these things you call dreams, they're just idle animations, stuff that runs when your player logs off for the night.
So while the real me, or the player me, is offline.
Your dream self is just running through some pre-programmed loops, basic behaviors, idle animations.
Okay, that is a mind bender. So the me in the dream is just background activity.
That's one interpretation. And they also touch on other views, more esoteric ones. Dreams as messages from higher dimensions, maybe? Or even just the screensavers of the soul.
Screensavers of the soul. I kind of like that one, actually. It's poetic.
It is. But then there was their bonus NPC ENERGY theory. That one was particularly out there.
Oh, yeah. What was that again?
The theory posits that the you experience in your dream, it isn't even really you. It's just a default character skin.
A default skin?
Loaded up by some kind of cosmic LLM if the player, whoever or whatever that is, didn't bother selecting a custom avatar before hitting the sleep button.
So the me running from the Hot Pocket spaceship teacher might just be generic dream human #47.
Could be just a default template.
That's both hilarious and deeply unsettling. Really makes you question who you even are in a dream.
It definitely pushes those boundaries. But okay, let's maybe shift gears a bit. Think about the future. If we're currently running on this janky Dream Core 1.0, what about upgrades, enhancements?
Right. This sounds like where the real hacking could get serious. What kind of future tech are we talking about?
Well, the sources mentioned neurotech companies are already working on devices, things that use, like specific audio or visual cues during REM sleep, trying to directly induce lucid dreaming.
So tech designed to interface directly with our sleeping brains, maybe targeting certain brain waves.
That's the direction. We could be wearing devices that, subtly whisper, hey, you're dreaming, in our ear, metaphorically speaking, or flash gentle lights our sleeping brain might pick up.
Okay.
And beyond that.
The possibilities really expand. They talk about AI dream hybrids, co-writing dreams with synthetic consciousness, co-writing dreams with an AI.
Imagine an AI helping shape the story, the environment of your dream, like in real time.
They had that funny image for it, ChatGPT narrating your dream, like Morgan Freeman on mushrooms.
Yeah. Which sounds both terrifying and strangely appealing, maybe.
Maybe. And then there's recording dreams, streaming them.
With advanced brain-computer interfaces, yeah, that becomes a theoretical possibility. Recording, sharing. They joked about a TikTok for your weirdest subconscious kinks.
Okay, maybe let's not go there. But the ultimate endpoint seemed to be this dream as a service idea.
Exactly. Picture a future with, like, Dreamscape DLC, buying new dream environments, neural mods that let you change the rules, give yourself flight, telekinesis, whatever, even sleep firmware updates that fundamentally alter the dream experience.
And the downside?
Well, the more dystopian twist they mentioned was in-dream advertisements.
Ugh, no thank you. This anxiety spiral is sponsored by, yeah, hard pass. Nightmare fuel right there.
It really is.
Yeah.
But it does make you think about the potential market for curated dream experiences, good or bad.
It really does. But, okay, bringing it back to now, today, what's the main takeaway from this whole simulated journey?
I think the core message from the sources is really an encouragement. Engage more actively with your dreams.
Don't just dismiss them as random brain garbage.
Right. Stop seeing them as just noise. Start exploring, the possibility that you can influence them through awareness, through journaling, through what you do before sleep.
Absolutely. And it ties right back into the whole point of the NPC Energy podcast, doesn't it? Questioning reality. If dreams are this weird, potentially hackable space, how fundamentally different are they from waking reality? It makes you wonder, like, in the Matrix, what is the actual difference? Is there one?
It truly does make you wonder. And on that note, maybe we should leave our listeners with that final provocative thought.
Yeah.
Are you dreaming right now? Or are you just glitching?
NPC Energy, where we chase our shadow selves through subconscious portals and debug the human experience one hallucinated goat dream at a time.
Stay glitchy, stay weird, everyone. And hey, remember, if your dream makes more sense than your actual life,
you're probably doing it right.
Probably.
Join us next time on the NPC Energy podcast for our next simulated journey. We'll be diving into why your deja vu might be a save file corruption.
Ooh, that sounds like a good one.
Until then.